Think you're clever, huh? Snatching a kid on my watch? Jason's voice was low, a dangerous growl that filled the small space. The insurgent's smirk faded, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty as he met Jason's steely gaze. You don't know what hell you've just invited onto your little rebellion, Jason continued, stepping closer, his presence dominating the room. The insurgent recoiled, pressing himself against the cold metal wall. Jason leaned in, his words sharp and cold. You think we're brutal now? You've not seen anything yet. We're coming for her, and may God help you if she's not in one piece. The diplomatic ship Harmony sliced through the void between star systems, its sleek form a testament to human engineering and a beacon of hope in the war-torn sectors of the galaxy. Aboard, delegates from various civilizations mingled, their conversations a blend of dozens of languages, all under the watchful eyes of the ship's security team led by Jason Carter. Jason moved through the crowd with an ease born of long experience, his gaze sharp and assessing. To the untrained eye, he might have seemed relaxed, but every muscle was tense, ready to react at a moment's notice. His reputation as a security officer was built on a foundation of ruthless efficiency and an unyielding approach to threats. As the delegates gathered in the Grand Hall for the cultural exchange event, Jason positioned his team at strategic points, ensuring all entrances and exits were covered. The atmosphere was charged with a palpable sense of optimism about the peace talks scheduled for the following day. Keep your eyes open, Jason murmured into his calm, his voice barely above a whisper but carrying the weight of command. I don't like the look of that group from the Chrysal sector. No sooner had the words left his mouth than the lights flickered and dimmed, plunging the hall into semi-darkness. A moment later, chaos erupted. Screams filled the air, and Jason sprinted towards the source, his heart pounding in his chest. He arrived just in time to see three hooded figures dragging a struggling figure through a side door. His trained eyes caught a glimpse of bright fabric, the same kind worn by Aliyah, the young daughter of the lead alien diplomat. Without hesitation, Jason charged forward, his body moving with trained precision. But he was too late. The door slammed shut, and by the time he forced it open, the assailants were nowhere in sight. The corridor beyond was empty, a mocking silence hanging in the air. Damn it! Jason slammed his fist against the door frame, the metal ringing under the impact. He clicked his calm code black. The diplomat's daughter has been taken. Lock down the ship and initiate tracking protocols now. As his team scrambled to respond, Jason reviewed the security feeds, his eyes narrowing as he replayed the abduction. Each second was a failure, each moment a missed opportunity to have prevented the incident. Ambassador Thelen approached, his face a mask of fear and anger. Mr. Carter, my daughter, please tell me you can find her. Jason met the ambassador's gaze, his own frustration mirrored in the diplomat's eyes. We will get her back, Ambassador. I promise you, we're going to bring her home. His voice was a growl of determination, a vow that he intended to keep no matter the cost. The ambassador nodded, placing his trust in Jason's capabilities despite the disastrous turn of events. Do whatever it takes, Mr. Carter. She's all I have. As the ship went into lockdown, Jason assembled his team, each member handpicked for their skills and their willingness to follow him into hell if needed. Gear up, he instructed, his voice leaving no room for doubt. We're going after them. And we're not coming back without Aliyah. Jason Carter's face was set in grim determination as he assembled his select team in the security briefing room aboard the Harmony. The room was stark, the only light coming from the holographic display in the center, which showed the rugged terrain of Vorin, their next battleground. Listen up, Jason began, his voice cutting through the tense atmosphere. We have one objective: retrieve the ambassador's daughter, Aliyah, from the clutches of the insurgents. I won't sugarcoat it, this is going to be one of the toughest ops we've ever pulled. He paused, eyeing each team member. Kira, with her tech wizardry, could hack into almost anything. Malik, whose combat skills were unparalleled, nodded silently, his expression stoic. Beside him, Tanya, a medical expert, and tactical response officer, checked her gear, her face betraying no emotion. Jason turned to the hologram, zooming in on a fortified compound marked in red. This is where we believe they're holding her. Vorin is not just hostile, it's a death trap full of environmental hazards and well-armed insurgents. Kira raised her hand, her brow furrowed. I can jam their communications, create some confusion. It might give us the edge we need. Do it, Jason replied curtly. Malik, Tanya, you're with me on the ground. We hit them hard and fast before they know what's happening. Kira, you stay here and provide tech support. The team members nodded, each retreating into their own thoughts as they prepared for the mission ahead. Hours later, the stealth shuttle descended through Vorin's turbulent atmosphere, buffeted by violent winds. Jason checked his weapon for the third time, his usual ritual before a fight. The shuttle landed with a soft thud on the outskirts of an abandoned village, cloaked by the early morning darkness. Move out, Jason commanded, his voice a whisper over the wind. The team disembarked, moving with practiced stealth towards their target. The ground was uneven, treacherous with hidden pitfalls that threatened to slow their progress. As they neared the compound, the first signs of trouble appeared. A sentry cloaked in the shadows was patrolling the perimeter. Without a moment's hesitation, Jason motioned to Malik, who nodded and disappeared into the shadows. Moments later, the sentry was silently neutralized, a testament to Malik's efficiency. They pressed on, using the cover of darkness to their advantage. Jason's heart pounded in his chest, not just from the exertion but from the weight of the mission. Failure was not an option, not this time. As they approached the main gate of the compound, Kira's voice crackled in their earpieces. You've got a small window. I've disabled their alarms, but it won't be long before they notice something's wrong. Understood, Jason whispered back. He placed a small explosive device on the gate, stepping back as the silent explosion created a small, manageable breach. The team slipped through, their bodies tensed for the inevitable confrontation. They moved through the compound with precision, clearing corners and checking each room they passed. The compound was eerily quiet, the silence oppressive. Then, gunfire erupted. An ambush. Bullets whizzed past as Jason and his team took cover, returning fire with disciplined bursts. Push through! Jason yelled over the din, firing his weapon with controlled bursts. His team responded with equal ferocity, their training kicking in as they fought their way deeper into the heart of the enemy territory. Under the cloak of Vorin's pre-dawn shadows, Jason and his team advanced deeper into the insurgent stronghold, their progress marked by sporadic gunfire and the sharp, electrical buzz of disabled alarms, courtesy of Kira's remote support. The air was thick with tension, each step forward a testament to their training and resolve. They moved with lethal precision, navigating through a maze of dilapidated buildings that made up the outer ring of the compound. Jason led from the front, his rifle held ready, eyes scanning for any sign of movement. Beside him, Malik moved silently, a shadow among shadows, while Tanya kept their six, her medical bag slung over one shoulder and her pistol at the ready. As they rounded a corner, Jason's hand shot up, signaling a halt. Ahead, the narrow street opened up into what looked like a makeshift training yard, currently empty but for the few early risers who might spot them at any moment. Malik, take the high ground, cover us, Jason whispered, his voice barely audible. Malik nodded, disappearing onto a nearby rooftop with the agility of a cat. Jason turned to Tanya, keep your eyes peeled for any movement. We're too exposed here. No sooner had they started across the yard than the crack of a sniper rifle split the air. Jason felt the bullet whiz past, inches from his ear. Sniper! He barked, diving for cover behind an overturned crate. Malik's voice came through the calm despite the chaos. I see him. Hold tight. A moment later, a second shot rang out, this one from Malik's rifle. The threat was neutralized, but the sound had already drawn more insurgents to their location. We need to move, now, Jason said, leading the charge across the yard. They reached the far side just as a group of armed insurgents burst into the open, guns blazing. The firefight was intense, bullets pinging off metal and kicking up clouds of dust around them. Jason returned fire, his shots deliberate, each one finding its mark. Beside him, Tanya worked methodically, her own shots precise. They were a well-oiled machine, their movements synchronized after countless missions together, but the intensity of the attack was unlike anything they'd encountered before. As they fought, Jason couldn't help but think of Aaliyah. The image of her, determined and brave, fueled him, lent strength to his arm and focus to his aim. They had to get to her, no matter what. Finally, the insurgents fell back, giving them a moment to breathe. Jason checked his ammo, swapping out a spent magazine. "Kira, status?" he demanded, his voice rough with exertion. "Still jamming their comms, but they're getting antsy." "You've got a window, but it's closing fast," Kira responded, her tone urgent. Jason nodded, even though she couldn't see it. We pushed forward. "Malik, rejoin us on the ground." "Tanya, how are we for injuries?" "All clear for now," she replied, checking over her equipment swiftly. The central building loomed before Jason and his team, its imposing structure casting long shadows in the rising dawn. Its fortified entrance and heavily barred windows spoke of a stronghold that had withstood numerous assaults, a fortress within the already formidable compound. Jason surveyed the building with a critical eye, his mind racing through potential entry points and ambush locations. "Malik, Tanya, eyes sharp. This is where they'll be holding her," he muttered, his voice low but filled with a steely resolve. Malik nodded, checking the charge on his rifle, while Tanya adjusted her medical pack, ready to provide aid at a moment's notice. The team approached the building cautiously, their movements silent yet swift, minimizing their exposure. As they neared the entrance, Kira's voice crackled through their earpieces, urgent and slightly distorted. "You've got company heading your way fast. Looks like they've called in reinforcements." "Damn it," Jason hissed under his breath. "Positions, now!" He positioned himself by the side of the door, weapon at the ready, while Malik and Tanya took cover nearby. No sooner had they settled in than a group of armed insurgents rounded the corner, moving towards the building with clear intent. Jason waited until they were within range, then signaled to his team. The ensuing firefight was brief but intense, with Jason and his team leveraging their superior training and coordination to overcome the numerically superior enemy. With the immediate threat neutralized, Jason led the way into the building, his senses heightened for any sign of danger. The interior was dimly lit, the air stale and thick with the scent of oil and metal. They moved through the corridors with tactical precision, clearing each room they passed, their progress slow but steady. "Kira, we're inside. Anything on Aaliyah's location?" Jason's voice was tense, his concern for Aaliyah's safety growing with each passing minute. "Second floor, northeast corner. I'm picking up heat signatures that match her profile," Kira responded, her voice a beacon in the oppressive gloom of the building. Jason nodded, relaying the information to his team. "Upstairs, let's move." The staircase was eerily quiet, the only sounds their soft footsteps and the distant echo of alarms. As they ascended, Jason's heart pounded not just from the exertion but from anticipation. Each step brought them closer to Aaliyah, and the uncertainty of what they would find kept his nerves taut. Reaching the second floor, they approached the northeast corner with increased caution. Jason paused by the door, listening for any sound that might indicate the presence of guards. Hearing nothing, he signaled Malik to breach the door. The door flew open under Malik's expert kick, revealing a dimly lit room. Inside, they found Aaliyah, surprisingly alone, standing by a window that overlooked the compound. Her composure was remarkable, her posture defiant despite the circumstances. Jason's relief was palpable. "Aaliyah, you're okay," he breathed, stepping into the room, his weapon lowered. She turned to face them, a slight smile touching her lips despite the situation. "I knew you'd come," she said, her voice steady. "But we need to hurry. They've planned a counterattack, thinking I'm still valuable as a hostage. With Aaliyah safely in tow, Jason and his team made their way back through the labyrinthine corridors of the insurgent stronghold, each turn and shadow a potential threat. The air was thick with the smell of burned electronics and gunpowder, a stark reminder of the fierce battle they had just fought. "Stay close," Jason instructed, his voice firm yet reassuring. Aaliyah, though visibly shaken, moved with a purposeful stride that spoke to her underlying strength. Malik covered their rear, his eyes constantly scanning for any signs of pursuit, while Tanya stayed close to Aaliyah, ready to administer medical aid if needed. As they neared the exit, the distant sound of boots thudding against the ground grew louder. "Incoming!" Jason barked, signaling the team to take cover. An intense firefight erupted as more insurgents tried to reclaim their lost asset. Bullets ricocheted off the concrete walls, sparks flying in the dim light. Jason leaned out from his cover, squeezing off precise shots. "We need to move, now!" he yelled over the din of gunfire. He provided cover fire as the rest of the team sprinted towards the exit, Aaliyah keeping pace despite her obvious fatigue. Once outside, the harsh light of dawn stung their eyes, a stark contrast to the gloom of the building's interior. They didn't stop to adjust, knowing the criticality of every second. They made a beeline for the extraction point, where their shuttle awaited, its engines humming softly in standby mode. As they boarded the shuttle, Jason took one last look at the compound, its silent facade belying the chaos that had unfolded within. He felt a mix of triumph and unease. The mission was a success, but at what cost? His thoughts were interrupted by Aaliyah's voice. "Thank you, Jason," she said, her tone sincere. "I knew the brutal humans were reputed to never leave anyone behind." Jason offered a tight smile, his usual abrasive edge softened by her gratitude. "We make sure our own are safe, no matter what," he replied, his gaze shifting back to the compound as the shuttle doors closed. The ride back to Harmony was tense, each member of the team lost in their own reflections of the mission. They had faced death together, bonded by the shared ordeal, their camaraderie strengthened yet shadowed by the violence they had witnessed. Back on the Harmony, the debriefing was thorough. Jason recounted every detail, his report a testament to their bravery and quick thinking. Yet, as he spoke, he could not ignore the weariness in his bones or the questions nagging at his conscience about the force they had used. Later, Jason found himself gazing out at the stars from the observation deck, the vastness of space a stark reminder of their isolation. Aaliyah joined him, her presence a silent comfort. "Do you ever wonder if there's another way? A way without violence?" she asked quietly, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Jason turned to her, his face etched with the scars of countless battles. "Every damn day," he admitted. "But in our line of work, sometimes the hard decisions are the only ones that keep people alive."